Hello there, fellow NPCs. I am Carbon Scythe, and today we're getting back into Everlasting Summer. So, in the last episode, we were gathering ingredients for a cake to celebrate Shurik's safe return. However, not a lot of cake was eaten because Uliana decided to dive headfirst into that cake, and there were only table scraps left for the rest of us, more or less. And now that it's evening, we're going for a hike up into the woods. And I guess that's where we will be going. I don't remember what's happening after this, but I'm guessing if my memory is intact, that it's going to be somewhat spooky, perhaps. And because I know stuff that's going to happen in this game that you guys don't know yet. So that's basically it. So yeah, let's see where it takes us. Let's go. All the camp was already there, although it was about 10 minutes before the time Olga Dmitrievna had designated. I settled down near the edge and waited patiently. Night was falling. If viewed from the outside, what a fairly comical picture we would make. A crowd of pioneers lined up out of sheer habit, like they were awaiting a silent command from a bronze Genda. And all this happening in the scarlet rays of the sunset. And there he is, waving his hand and screaming, "Attack!" as roaring soldiers with red neckerchiefs charged into the battle against some ghostly enemy. But Olga Dmitrievna showed up and started to talk instead of Genda. "It seems everybody's here." "Great. I was so tired today that I couldn't even think about anything, so I ended up listening to the camp leader. Now, today we'll go hiking. Okay, no, you said sunset, so it's going to be evening. Not today. This evening I would have preferred, but that's minute details. It is essential for every pioneer to be able to come and rescue his comrade, to offer a helping hand in the hour of need, saving them from a hopeless situation. We have to learn to do all these things together." A whisper that ran through the pioneer crowd suggested that most probably this truly epic expedition would end in a clearing in the forest, several hundred feet away from the square. Somehow, I thought so too. We'll walk in pairs. So, if you haven't chosen a partner for yourself yet, now's the right time to do so. Pioneers quickly caught on to the idea and started to match in pairs. It looked like I was the only one without a partner. Slavia was enthusiastically discussing something with Olga Dmitrievna, Lena was with Miku, Electronic was, of course, with Shurik. Well, it might not be a bad idea to go alone after all. "Semyon?" The voice of the camp leader pulled me out of my thoughts. I went up to her reluctantly. "I see that you haven't found a partner." "Seems like it." "Then you'll join Senya. She's alone too." I was struck with that special kind of despair that only a true loner can experience. Yeah, being forced to work with someone you don't have any strong emotions for, good or bad, just you exist. Yeah, that's painful. So it appears that I'm left with a prickly librarian that I wouldn't risk spending a couple of hours with even if I was paid for it. Okay, so he does seem to dislike her. Although we both seem to be in the same boat now. I slowly approached Senya. "Well, I guess we'll be going together." She looked up at me. "Don't you even think that I'm glad," said Senya seriously. "Why on earth would you feel glad?" I asked naively. "Never mind. It would be much better if you just shut up." It couldn't get any better than this. She turned her back on me and followed the other pioneers. I still haven't seen any special reason to walk in pairs. Anyway, we were walking on the well-trodden forest trails and it would be quite difficult to get lost here even if we wanted to. Moreover, while we'd already been hiking for half an hour, we weren't rushing into the depths of the forest, trying to face all the dangers that could test our courage and harden our pioneer spirits, but instead we were just walking around in circles. However, if we take into account that Olga Dmitrievna was our chief, this hike could be compared to a hobbit's march from the Shire to Mordor. Ooh! I'm not sure I would have caught that. Well, I would have understood the reference, but I don't think I would have cared back when I played this the first time, because I still don't like Lord of the Rings. I don't like that or Star Wars. I'm a bad nerd, you know. Don't liking the classics. Just as Semyon insisted, I was following her at a distance in silence. The librarian seemed to be perfectly okay with it. Hey, do you know when we'll reach our destination? Our what? The place where we'll set it down and set up camp. The whole point of this hike isn't to set up a camp, but the hiking itself. Yeah, but you can still have a camp. You don't get it. Yeah, it seemed that I didn't understand a thing about hiking. I guess you're right, but still. I don't know. She replied sharply and quickened her pace. I caught her up with her and asked, Listen, why are you always so... I was about to say mean, but stopped short. I haven't done anything bad to you, and I'm not going to. She glared at me in surprise. Always so... what? Well, unsociable, kind of. Or is it something about me? Oh, cut that stupidity out already. As you wish. Okay. There was even a new face on her. I haven't seen that before. I decided not to start a conversation with her for the rest of the hike. At last, Olga Dmitrievna decided to end the Sisyphean toil. It's time to halt. The place chosen turned out to be quite a large glade with a few tree trunks laid in half circle to make an improvised arbor, with the remains of a campfire in the middle. Obviously, such hikes are a tradition of this camp. I was sent to gather firewood together with the other boys. It didn't take long before there were a lot of branches and logs of various sizes lying around. Eventually, Olga Dmitrievna lit the fire using some old newspapers. I was eager to know what was written there, but couldn't discern anything other than the Soviet symbols. Pioneers took their places on the fallen log benches and started to talk about things. It seemed that the final goal of this event had been achieved. The only thing missing were a pot of fish soup, aluminum cups of vodka, and a guitar. But I wouldn't be surprised if all of these would appear somehow. What are you thinking about? Slavia sat next to me. Oh, nothing special. Just enjoying the hike, I answered sarcastically. You don't look too happy. Well, I'm not about to jump of joy. Sorry about that. Okay, I won't disturb you. She sat with me for a while, but after realizing that I wasn't in the mood of talking, she left me to enjoy my introspection and all alone. And all I wished for was to lie down in a bed and fall asleep as soon as possible, but I was being surrounded by smoke and the useless shadow of pioneers around me instead. They were sharing and laughing and in general enjoying this warm summer evening. In the far side of the glade I noticed that Lena was arguing with Alyssa intensely. Ooh, right. Yeah. Ooh, this is gonna be fun. Intensely, and Lena seemed like complete opposites to me. Slavia had left to go somewhere after our conversation, it seems. Electronic and Shurik were trying furiously to prove something to Olga Dmitrievna. Looks like I'm the only one who doesn't belong here. Try to find out what Alyssa and Lena are arguing about. Do nothing, just stay seated. Well, it's still not day 7, so I can do whatever I want. But since we're doing a Semyon run here, we are not going to look into what's going on here. But we are going to make a save, however, so that we can jump back here whenever needed. This will be our first branching path, because trying to find out what Alyssa and Lena are arguing about will put us on one of their paths. In this case, Alyssa, because I don't have enough points with Lena. Do nothing, just stay seated. And this is why, most likely, I didn't enjoy the game from the beginning, because I went into this path unknowingly. So, I had a pretty bad experience the first time I played this. All I was doing was just watching the fire. There is a saying that claims that one could watch it forever, as well as running water. But there was also some third thing there. What was it? One could watch 3 things forever: burning fire, running water, or how other people work. The camp leader pulled me out of my daydreaming. Semyon, don't you think it's too early to relax? But what else would I need to do? I honestly couldn't get what Olga Dmitrievna wanted from me. I don't know. She stopped for a moment. But if there's something to be done, then do it without hesitation. She smiled ambiguously and went back to the fire to throw a few branches on. After those words, I am completely sure that she treats me like a personal slave. Or at least like I'm a free labor force, which is, strictly speaking, the same thing. I sighed and put my head down my hands, hoping my torments would be over for today. Someone patted me on the shoulder. I looked up and saw Scythe and Electronic who sat next to me. What do you want? I asked tiredly. Don't be sad. Is there anything better to do? Look, we've been discussing the possibilities for advancement of the cybernetics club with Olga Dmitrievna. And there is a problem. We need more guys. If you could, he hesitated. Advancement, and those guys are incompatible with each other. I said nothing and started to look over to the pioneers around me instead. Well, I don't have time. Can't you see that I'm always busy with the camp leader's errands? Yeah, I guess you're right. It's kind of embarrassing how it all went today with Uliana. I looked at him with surprise. It seems that Scythe blames himself for the cake accident. Yeah, it is. All the pioneers seem to be here, but I couldn't spot Slavia anywhere. I think she's angry with me. Who? I asked absently. Uliana. Maybe I should apologize. No, it's not your fault. We sat silently for a while and then I stood up and said, my legs are numb, I better take a walk. I made no reply. I made a few circles around our improvised camp, noticing the close looks of the camp leader following me. Looks like Olga Dmitrievna couldn't wait to come up with some kind of new task for me. I haven't found Slavia anywhere. Maybe I should go and try and find her. On the other hand, I felt sorry for Liana every time I recalled her upset face. Maybe this hike isn't the most entertaining thing ever, but sitting there all alone isn't any better either. But at the same time, I didn't want to go anywhere. Try to find Slavia, go to Uliana, remain seated. Oh, is this where we were supposed to remain seated? Oh, it's supposed to be both. Okay, I see. Stay seated, remain seated. I guess that's enough for me today. I sat in my previous place and waited for the end of the hike patiently, almost physically able to feel the looks of the camp leader aimed at me. At last she had stood up and declared, and now let's play cities. I had nothing against the game itself. I have no idea what this game is. But it was obvious that the hike will take longer because of it. Pioneers sat around the fire. I noticed Lena and Alyssa took their places on a trunk opposite me. It seemed that everything is alright. And just a few minutes ago, I thought the opposite while looking at their quarrel. But anything is possible. I'd really like to know what they were talking about, but it's impossible now, and I could feel tiredness growing in me more and more. My mind was completely blank. To be precise, my head was so heavy that there was no place in it for ideas to unfold. While in my better times my brain appeared to be a wide highway with millions of thoughts running by, chasing one another and causing major crashes, now it was more like a footpath lost in the woods which is used rarely and only in exceptional cases. Yeah, I noticed that too. This game is very highbrow when it comes to thinking. I am a very clever man and I have read a lot of philosophy. That is basically who Semyon is. And history books and old literature. but he's not using any of it. He's just sitting there being a grumpy old man. Sliva didn't come back. Maybe she had something to do. But once again, there's no way to find out now. Okay, let's start. Moscow. Pioneers started to name cities. Finally, it was my turn. I tried to listen closely to catch the first letter of the city I'll have to use. Okay, so it's... I recognize this game now. Arkhangelsk. Holy crap. We played several rounds. Each new city name made it harder to remember everything that was mentioned before. Yeah, so you have to go in rounds saying the name of the cities, and you have to use the... your city has to start with the first letter of the last letter of the previous city. And you're not allowed to say a city twice. My attention was dissipating, and I was already lost in all these capital, megalopolis, villages, and urban settlements. Semyon! Semyon! It's your turn! Olga Dmitrievna brought me back to reality. Oh, excuse me, what was the last one? You're daydreaming again. It was Sevastopol. Okay, then I'll say London. Already used. Well then, he got me thinking. There were tons of cities in the world starting with L, but it was hard to remember even one of them now. Well, you said London, I could say Luxembourg. It's a country and a city. And then we have a lot of Swedish places, like Linköping. I said a lot, and I can only think of one. Classic. Liverpool? Already there. Los Angeles? Ah, finally. She gave me a scornful look, but the game went on. I could hardly bear to think of another city starting with L, but fortunately, it was the last round. Oh, you have rounds? Oh, that's enough for today. It's already late. Time to go back. I sighed with relief. On our way back, we walked as we liked without joining in pairs. Night descended upon a camp. Perfect, regular, and normal night. It was one of those nights when dark skies, stars, and even crescent moon don't cause any special feelings, and the chirping of crickets and the songs of the nightbirds seemed more like routine work noises than a nocturnal chorus. In a few minutes, all the pioneers were lining up in the square. It was quite late already, and fatigue took its toll, so our lineup wasn't perfectly aligned. It looked to me more like a line of Vikings after a successful battle, when the warriors are happy and smiling, anticipating their return to their families rather than thinking about maintaining correct formation. But someone else could possibly see a completely defeated troop or a bunch of survivors who have to march to their homeland with the last of their strength. Thanks everyone. And now go to sleep. It's late already. Pioneers quickly ran their own ways, and I was left together with the camp leader. And we should go too. We went in complete silence to Olga Dmitrievna's cabin. Okay, let's sleep, she said, turning off the lights. I was tossing and turning for quite a while, recalling all the events of the day. On the one hand, I was overcome with fatigue. On the other hand, I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd forgotten something, done something wrong, said something wrong. And this feeling of incompleteness was tormenting me. Oh, I wonder if that is because we didn't actually do anything during the hike, because we were given two options to do something, with a total of 4 outcomes, I believe. So yeah, that's interesting. If I went on a path, maybe I wouldn't... a different path, I wouldn't be here right now. Well, I would be here, but not in that mindset, I mean. It was about 2 a.m. All bad things would end sooner or later. Or at least would take a break. Day 6. I fell asleep. Oh, okay, yes, that. Day 6, exactly. I don't know what time it was when Olga Dmitrievna woke me up, but even before opening my eyes, I felt the imminence of death. Ooh, imminence of death. Ooh. My whole body ached. I felt dizzy. My mind was clouded by haze. Semyon, wake up immediately or you'll miss breakfast, and more importantly, the lineup. Looks like the camp leader intends to exploit me to the fullest today, the same as any other day. I garbled something, covered my head with a blanket and turned to the wall. In the end, Olga Dmitrievna's anger will never go beyond words. At least I really wanted to believe so then. What the hell is that supposed to mean? I don't remember this. There is no death in this game, to the best of my knowledge. Stand up right now, or what? I was going to say triumphantly, but kept silent. Not because of fear, just because I felt too lazy to open my mouth. Really, what could you do to me? Lecture me at the lineup, hang my photo on the wall of shame, or use me for inhuman alien experiments? Well, I'm ready for that too. Just let me sleep a couple of hours. Okay, but if you miss the lineup... The door slammed behind the camp leader, and the sleeper which had been about to fade claimed my mind again. Okay, so he was sleeping through it. I woke up dazzled by sunlight. It was 1 p.m. according to my cell phone, which was squeezing the last drops of charge out of its battery. Strangely enough, my body didn't ache, my head felt clearer, and all in all, it was a good beginning of the day. After waving my arms, pretending to do early exercises, I sprang out to the cabin and headed to the washstands. Yeah, I slept through breakfast, but will be served lunch soon, so I shouldn't worry that I'll have to stay hungry like I did yesterday. Okay. I know exactly who that is. I just did not know we would actually encounter him. Along the way, I met a pioneer whose face somehow looked strangely familiar. But I was going so fast I couldn't really see him, and when I turned around, he was already gone around the corner. Okay. Now we're getting into Spooky Town here. That actually freaked me out for a second there. There was nobody near the washstands. Everyone is probably busy with Olga Dmitrievna's task and God knows what else. I quickly brushed my teeth, washed my face and was already going to leave when I suddenly heard the sound of water flowing from the opposite tap. A pioneer leaned against a washstand over there. I couldn't see his face, but judging by his figure, it looked like the one I saw a couple of minutes ago. How are you doing? The sun's so bright today. I looked up into the sky, shielding my eyes with my palm. Yeah, nothing special. It wasn't easy to get a better look at the pioneer, given the way he stood, the bright sunlight that reflected from the water and shiny metal surfaces of the washstand heavily obscured his face, and I wasn't able to distinguish any single feature. Well, damn, that's unfortunate. The camp leader is angry today. So angry. His voice sounded painfully familiar too. Well, she's always like that. Well, you'd know better. Yeah. I tried to remember if I'd ever heard this voice or seen this pioneer before. Well, see ya. He turned the water off and quickly marched towards the forest path. For a second, I thought of following him, stopping him, but I quickly fought it off as I decided that it's not worth spoiling such a great morning with suspicion and burdensome speculations. Nature was glowing with the bright light of life. Lush treetops were rhythmically swaying in the winds, whispering to each other. The breeze gently stroked the high emerald grass. The birds were cooing in the shade, escaping the midday heat. The woods and fields stretching beneath the horizon were dissolving in some warm sunlight. I don't know which month it is now, but it looks like midsummer. I distinctly remember the summer vacation of my childhood and youth. Times of fun, leisure and carefree joy. Childhood games. How many there were. I wouldn't say no to playing war games or hide and seek now. Or swinging on a bungee. Or maybe building a sandcastle and inhabiting it with toy soldiers, ready to defend their master to the last drop of their plastic blood. I went to the square and sat on a bench, waiting for lunch. It looked like there wasn't much time left before it. From time to time, pioneers passed by me, sometimes alone, sometimes in pairs or groups of 3. But always someone I didn't know. Alyssa, Uliana, Leno, Slavia were nowhere to be seen. Oh. Thoughts about the meaninglessness of existence were circling my brain, but this didn't worry me on such a beautiful day. Just think about it. Who could think of grieving for his life lived in vain or lost early while basking in the rays of such a friendly sun? I'm not sure if that sentence makes sense. Certainly not me. I looked upon Genda. He was meditating, as always. Now, he definitely never gets any unnecessary doubts. I remembered my first hours in this camp and the day before, the anguish, the anxiety and fear. That all seems so far away now, although so little time has passed. Will I get out of here or not? It didn't concern me as much as before. Maybe I'm already dead. Now this is the last stop. Please get off the train. What are you thinking about? I looked up and saw the pioneer I'd seen before. I couldn't see his face again, as the sun was shining in my eyes. You know, life. It seemed they would sit down next to me, but the pioneer stayed in the same place, only half turned, which completely killed any hope of seeing his face. Listen, have we met earlier? I don't think I remember you. Well, let's say that you know who I am. But I don't. I laughed sincerely. Here, you don't, he answered short. I see. Honestly, it's not like I didn't want to talk. I just didn't know what to talk about. And my soul was so calm this didn't bother me. Your first time here? He asked that question, but this tone implied he was only expecting a confirmation. Yes? And you? Me? He paused for a few seconds. Nah, it's not my first time here. One might say that I visited this camp every year since my early childhood. Such an answer got me interested. Well, and what was it like before? It's always the same. Yes, it is, huh? Olga Dmitrievna being the camp leader, all the same pioneers around, all the same lineups at the morning, and all these wicked accidents. For a moment I thought that it was me speaking, not him. Interesting. It's just that with every new, he hesitated, year, more and more interesting things happen and one gets to understand better what's going on. Ooh, you're actually telling us to play this game multiple times. Thank you. I never caught on to that the first time I played. I don't believe so. Or I would have been... because I completed the game 100% out of pure spite. Because I was so upset with how bad the game was. You know? And back then I hadn't really played visual novels either. Not like these. So... had I understood the impact of this sentence, I would have enjoyed it the first time around, I believe. What are you talking about? The conversation positively triggered my curiosity. It's a pity that I can't distinguish the face of this pioneer at all. Well, every session in the pioneer camp reminds of the previous one. He said calmly. Probably. This is my first. It shows. The pioneer grinned. But it looks like it won't be the last. Well, it's fun here and all, but you know how they say. There's no place like home. You still have to get back there. Now, I was absolutely sure that this guy was hiding something from me. To be precise, he stood out too much from the camp's usual ordinariness and was too different from the local inhabitants. What do you mean? You think I'm stuck here forever or something? I said, enunciating every word. The pioneer had no time to answer as the lunch bell sounded. I turned my head towards the loudspeaker, and by the time I looked back, the guy was already gone. Thousands of theories and speculation instantly appeared in my mind, but I stopped myself, remembering all the apparent normality of this camp. After all, nothing supernatural has happened in these 5 days. Moreover, everything here seemed too natural, sometimes even boring. Maybe the pioneer didn't mean anything by that, and I just misunderstood him. Thinking that, I went to the canteen, intending to feast. Sometimes it seemed to me that lunch here is akin to the crowds around the soup kitchens during a famine. Pioneers were running around, pushing each other, trying to crawl through to their first meal and take the most comfortable table. I was calmly standing and patiently waiting for the cooks to get me my assigned food rations. Okroshka is a traditional Russian cold soup. For lunch today, we had okroshka, which I didn't really like, and cutlets with potatoes. Dude, you don't like any food. I mean, I don't eat fish either. I don't like fish. But you've been here for a week. You eat the fucking food you are, or you're given. What is okroshka? I want to know that. What is okroshka? Well, it looks disgusting. Sorry, but this image is not helping. It's a cold soup of Russian origin, which probably originated in the Volga region. Mixed of raw vegetables like cucumbers, radishes, and spring onions, boiled with boiled potatoes, eggs, cooked meats such as beef, veal, sausages, and ham and kvass, which is a low alcoholic beverage made from fermented black rye bread. Okay, that sounds kind of sounds awesome, but as I said, the image, okay, it looks a lot better on screen here actually. But it still looks scary as all hell, honestly. I sat in a corner and mentally rejoiced that I would be able to eat in peace. My table was the farthest from the kitchen. I could reasonably hope that the pioneers who were looking for a free place wouldn't reach it, or would reach it last. However, when I moved on to the main course, Slavia, Shurik, and Electronic appeared from the crowd. Can we? I had nothing against their company. Of course. Lunch was going surprisingly calmly. Even Electronic wasn't jabbering as he usually does. I finally finished the meal, sprawled in my chair, and satisfied, clicked my tongue. Listen, do you know this pioneer? I saw him today. You know, he's so... I suddenly realized that I don't really know how to describe him. Well, about my height, same constitution. Hard to say from such a description. Slavia smiled. Well, we have half a camp of such guys, if it comes to that. All in all, they were right. Why are you asking? It's just that I met him today, and it seemed like I haven't seen him here before. Look in the canteen. I don't think he'll miss lunch. Why didn't I think of that? That's it. Okay, guys, enjoy your meal. I got up and started to slowly walk along the rows of tables. Lena and Senya are sitting over there. I gave them a friendly smile. I listened to Uliana laughing and arguing about something. Olga Dmitrievna, surrounded by pioneers. Good thing she didn't notice me. There are hardly any free seats, but the guy from this morning is nowhere to be seen. The situation is getting more and more interesting. Looks like I won't find him here. Maybe he already had lunch. I headed to the exit. It was so hot outside that it seemed like it would instantly melt after coming out of the shade. I suddenly felt like sleeping. I yawned and headed to the camp leader's cabin in order to follow the domestic interpretation of the Archimedes principle. In the end, Olga Dmitrievna is unlikely to return anytime soon. At least I think so, and I will definitely have a couple of hours of sleep. Anyways, I don't really expect any other options to arise, especially in this heat. But that will also be where we cut off for today's episode. We have met a new pioneer. He's kind of interesting. I didn't expect to meet him here, honestly. That caught me for a surprise. But yeah, it makes sense. It's the second to last day here in Sovyonok. So, the end is just beginning, you know. So I guess we're going to have to figure out who that is. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. And thank you, Joseph, for donating directly to my Ko-fi page. If you guys want to help me out, you can do so by clicking the link down in the description. And I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye, everyone.